Um, just a note that they have a security system. I know Jason's got some good people if you want to have a security system hooked up. This is your water manifold. It's in the laundry room. So they're kind of cool because you can individually shut off anything in the house with them. So if there's if you have, if you want to replace the faucet in the hall bathroom, you can walk over there, walk in the laundry room, shut it off, go replace it, and then turn it back on. And then down here, that's your whole home water shut off. So if something happens, there's an emergency, you just need to cut water to the whole house. You just hit that valve and you're good to go. Well, not good to go, but you shut off the water and it's not continuing to leak, and you're not running around like a crazy person asking all your neighbors if they have a water key because your house is flooding. A little bit unusual, this is not actually an HVAC vent. This is the access for your jet tub. And then that way, if somebody needs to work on there, they can just pop that cover off and get access to it, which is fantastic, especially because they tiled in the tub. It looks really nice, and that tile probably been obsolete for 3 years now because it's a 6-year-old house. And so just nobody's going to have to jackhammer or bust out the tile next to your tub. So that's a good thing. We have a section called normal wear and tear. It's just kind of the stuff that happens when people live in a house. So one of the master bedroom closet doors didn't latch properly. Oh, that's what it was. The hall bathroom, the door from the hall, it didn't have a lock on it. A lot of people like locks on the bathroom doors just because they don't like people surprising them. Here's just a quick video showing the jet tub working. So it came on, it worked well. With these, usually it is what it is. There's not a lot of adjustment to turn it up or down. And then, have you had a jet tub before?
My parents have. I haven't personally, but I've used theirs before.
So, just a couple quick rules of thumb. So you want to make sure the water's above the jets before you turn them on. And then you're going to want to avoid like dish soap or bath salts or anything like that because they can get in the pumps and mess them up. And then I've been told by several different people, when it comes to cleaning it, you usually just fill it up, throw in 1 or 2 of those dishwasher pods, and let it run for 15 or 20 minutes. Does a pretty good job. A lot of times what we see happen is somebody moves into a house, they use the jet tub for a month, and then they don't use it for the next 20 years, and then they sell the house, and then someone like me will come in and turn it on, and just all the junk that's kind of collected in the lines gets shot out. So it is a nice, pretty shiny tub whenever we get there, and then if we leave, there's all this black gunk on the bottom of it, so they're always mad at us. But just cleaning it out every once in a while just keeps all that clean. There's a little bit just kind of around the windows right there. You can see a little bit of cracking in between the drywall and the window. So it's not anything crazy. The house isn't falling over. It just, the drywall gets really beat up there more so than the rest of the house because it's as hot as it's going to get and as cold as it's going to get right next to the window. And then, you've got the sun shining through. So if you're not worried about it, don't be worried about it. If you are, just a little bit of like caulk or putty like you'd use to fill a nail hole and just paint to match. Like we talked about over there. So I would just hey guys, just want to make sure you're going to clean that up. Because, unless you just have something that's going to fit there. We talked about the microwave a little bit. We like to see an 18-inch clearance from the top of the stove to the bottom of the microwave. Just, once again, in case you're cooking or whatever, we don't want too much heat to hit the bottom of the microwave. So, you're an adult. The good news about being an adult is you can do whatever you want. It's your house, so if you don't want to do anything, you don't have to. We would recommend, however, either raising the microwave, which unfortunately means cutting out a couple inches of cabinet to raise it up, or maybe they have a microwave that's not quite as tall, or the other option would be use a vent hood there and then just use a countertop microwave. This is just me being petty. There's a little bit of a gap around where the outlet right there. So, but this is kind of the level of stuff that we're finding wrong in the house, which is good. This is, we call it CSST, corrugated stainless steel tubing. So it's a flexible natural gas line. It's fantastic because it's cheaper to manufacture and cheaper to install than regular hard piping. They had some issues with the first generation. We can tell it's the first generation because it's got the yellow insulation on it. The second generation has got the black. So what they recommend is that yellow insulation go inside the fittings. And then that way, if there's any issues, all that gas stays inside that insulation. Excuse me. So, and then the state of Oklahoma requires me to tell you that only a licensed electrician can verify that it's properly bonded, which is just, I'm sure you know, it's another word for grounded. But it's a 6-year-old house, so I'm guessing it was done correctly. Do we know if this is a one-owner house or if they've had a couple people come through?
I can check, but I don't think so.
Sometimes if it's just a one-owner house, or you can find the builder, they may have that piece of paper. Or once again, you're an adult. If you're not worried about it, don't be worried about it.
So does that, on the hose pipes, does the coupling move so you don't have to like mess with the pipe? You can just tighten it, or is it not going to push in anymore?
Yeah. You should be able to tighten it without twisting the line.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm not sure on this one if it's just a little bit of an overcut, or if it's starting to crack a little bit. It definitely didn't crack through, so it's not necessarily something I'm worried about. But maybe once a year when you just kind of walk around the house, do any maintenance, just check it out, because it's in the area over the garage. It's all decked and it's easy to get to.
Yeah.
And just it'll take you 5 minutes. If there's no problems, there's no problems. If at some point in the future it does start cracking, are you familiar with the term sister board?
Yeah, like the word beside it.
Exactly. So you just put a sister board on there, and just make sure that sister board goes past the cracking on both ends, and that reinforces it and actually makes it a little bit stronger than it was before. Over by your water heater, so it looks like there's some water staining on the decking right there. So it looks like there was a leak in the past, but didn't appear to be an active leak. So once again, if we get a first couple of good rainstorms, I'm going to just poke my head up there, make sure it's still dry. And as long as it's dry, we're good. If it's not, look at calling a roofer out. There's going to be a boot on top of the roof that's the waterproof, and that it seals the water from getting through. And so yeah, that's good news. And so that owner probably knows who the builder is. Or there's a quick connection back to the builder on some of these houses that are 20, 30 years old. Like, who knows who built it, and good luck getting a hold of them.
Yeah.
And then on the ground, that's just beneath that pipe. You can see, looks like there was some water staining there too, but once again, it was old, it was dry, so just something to keep an eye on. This is your furnace, and we've got the nameplate. So the furnaces were both 2016. They both came on, made really great heat. You might not actually ever really turn on the upstairs furnace, just because the downstairs worked real well, and you could put a door on the bottom of the stairs, but unless you put some sort of physical barrier there, just heat is going to rise. And then the nice thing about it, of having the 2-zone system, is that, a couple of nice things. One, if nobody's staying upstairs or sleeping upstairs, a lot of times you can just set it back, or you might not ever really need to turn it on. And then you can save a little bit of money on the utility bills versus just one system, and you're trying to pump, especially cold air up there. It gets a little more difficult, more expensive. And then the other nice thing is, if something happens to one unit, you've got the other unit, you can kind of limp along for a while, right? You're not stuck in Oklahoma when it's 110 degrees with no AC on a 2-week wait list. Now the bad news is twice as many units is twice the cost, so we'll definitely stay on top of keeping them serviced and in good shape, and then that way you're getting the most out of them. And kind of I don't like saying it, but because they were made same brand, same manufacturer, and same model year, they're probably going to fail about the same time, which, once again, downside of 2 units, but as long as you take care of them, you should have a lot of good life left in them. It looks like there's a little bit of corrosion right there, probably an old water leak. Didn't notice anything today, but just you might check on it a few times throughout the summer just to make sure. It's kind of hard to see. Are you familiar with float switches on HVAC units?
Yeah.
So you got float switches on both units, which is fantastic. Sorry, this was the other unit. So you've got, it's not an actual crack, it's just a seam in the drywall. And I can tell that because drywall is right. That seam is very straight, whereas if it cracks, it's kind of going to go off up at an angle, and that's just too straight for a crack. So it's one of those. It is what it is. If you want somebody to come back out, there's definitely people that can fix that. Or if it doesn't bother you, especially because it's in the garage, then it doesn't bother you. And this is your water heater. Water heater's 2016. They statistically they last about a decade, so you should still have some good life in it. We do recommend doing some annual maintenance on it, just draining out the tank and getting any sediment out. You usually get a little bit better life out of them. So are you familiar with the temperature pressure relief valve?
No.
So let's see. So it's right there. So if it gets too hot under too much pressure, that valve will open up and allow all that hot steamy water to come out. Because if it's blowing off, it's going to be pretty high pressure. So we like to just see them go straight down. The concern is if all that water blows off, whenever it hits that corner right there, it might be too much force and blow out that corner, and then it would go everywhere. Good news is it's in the garage. Most people don't spend a lot of time in the garage. Not only is it in the garage, it's in a closet with the door that's shut. So the odds of it blowing off catastrophically are very low. The odds of somebody just happening to stand in front of it with the door open while that happens, I would not venture to calculate. You do have a shutoff valve. It's kind of back up there, which is good because you have one, but we did mark it as inaccessible because especially in an emergency type situation, especially for someone who's not tall, it will be difficult to get to and turn off. This is your electric panel. That's what it looks like on the inside. Really, we didn't note anything. Everything looked pretty clean. This is your storm shelter. Have you had a storm shelter before?
No.
So, a couple things we recommend. First one is just buying a storm shelter kit. Walmart, Target, Amazon, they all have them. If you don't want to buy one, just get on Google, what's in a storm shelter kit, and just keep it down there. Because tornadoes always seem to come at 3 a.m., not 3 p.m. And I don't know about you, I am not in my right mind at 3 a.m. So, just having it down there, and then you don't have to worry about it. Just grab your cell phone, hopefully it's got some charge, and head down there. Second thing would be register it with the City of Moore. That way, if something happens, especially if you forget your phone or it dies, someone's coming to check on you. So they've got a list, and they'll just send fire, police, whoever out after an emergency like that, just to check on people and make sure everyone's okay. And then the only thing we noted, as you can see, there's some rust or some rust stains. Looks like water, just whenever they parked their vehicle in there, the water was coming off of it and it just kind of seeps down there. So it's not a big deal. I would only be concerned as if it was actually coming from outside of the storm shelter, like the bottoms or the side, and then coming up.
Yeah.
This is your fireplace. We talked about it a little bit. We got the pilot light lit, but couldn't actually get it to come on. I would, usually our go-to, and I'll see if Jessica has any input on this, just ask them to like shoot a quick video on their phone of it working, because it doesn't cost them anything to do that, so they don't feel like they've spent a bunch of money on the house. It gives you usually a little bit more leverage, negotiating leverage in other spots. Has that been your experience?
Yeah, for the most part, you can negotiate it, but I mean,
Right.
stuff like that is usually like an easy, like $100 fix
Right.
or something like that.
So
It just depends.
yeah, so if there's some trick to it
Yeah.
and they can get it going, just have them shoot you a video. But then if there's actually something wrong, then you know that's definitely something that can be asked for. And then the rest of these are just kind of those general pictures of the house. So that way, if you have a question later and I've forgotten what the house looks like, I can go back and refresh my memory.
Yeah.
So I know we talked about a lot of stuff. What are you worried about? What questions, concerns do you have?
I think the weird one that stands out is the listing had the heat pump, but it's just a normal gas heater, right, system. Because I looked into those because I guess I'd seen they're more efficient, but they're expensive to put in and stuff. So I
Right.
was surprised that was on there. But trying to think. Yeah, the pest. I can't remember his name. The pest control guy mentioned about